Ouch. Hot mic. Good day.
Hello.
There we are live. Look at how plaid we are.
Matching.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Marijuana Man. This is From Under the Influence. Show number 8,607.
It's quite a lot of shows.
For those of you keeping track. It could be that many, too. I don't know. I don't have a clue. Yeah, what the fuck?
That would be at least like 60,000 joints.
Easily. And this mathematician beside me is my good buddy Alek.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Alek and I have worked together for a long time. 20 years?
Yeah, give or take.
Give or take a bunch of years. Yeah, glad you could come by today and help smoke weed. Didn't know he was going to wear plaid, but you know.
It was hidden under the green jacket.
Anil's behind the dials and
Help smoke weed.
making us
Didn't
look
know
as
he
good
was
as
gonna
we
wear
possibly can. Got good weed in the house. 3 or 4 kinds. What? A little Congo, a little bit of lemon meringue pie, and some banana clips.
Yeah.
Tastes like bananas. Not the clip part. I don't know what it is. Banana Kush times AK-47 or something maybe.
Yeah, probably. That's what I would think. Banana OG. AK-47.
Very fine black market marijuana that we're smoking today. It's all black market all day here. Every day. I've only smoked a tiny little bit of legal weed. And I've never purchased any, don't really plan to, and I don't know. Don't need to. Never needed to.
Right. We were actually laughing just a minute ago. I wanted to look up the oil that you can buy online, and none of us knew the website to buy legal cannabis.
Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah, can't help you there. There's a empty legal bag here, though, just in case, right? But it's just nonsense all over the bag. The THC percentage is listed as 0.64. And then in brackets it says total THC is 11%. Not 0.6%, but 11%. With no explanation as to why they have 2 THC percentages listed on the bag. They didn't say one was THCA. Did they? I don't know. Silly. And then they say that I have a risk of getting psychosis and schizophrenia from this weed that's inside this bag.
Yeah, I don't want to smoke this legal cannabis. That's dangerous.
I've bought weed in the black market for fucking 50 years, and no one has ever said, dude, you know, this will give you schizophrenia if...
I know. We've been smoking joints for 20, so...
No, yeah. Wow, what the fuck have they done to it to cause you psychosis? Huh? And, boy... Royal High is the name of the provider of this marijuana. It was packaged back in September. Bet it was dry as a fucking bone by the time it came out of this.
At least a couple points dry.
Higher THC content can increase the risk of psychosis and schizophrenia. Health Canada. Can increase. Doesn't, but it could. Never has. But they always say it will. Schizophrenia, the people who have that, 78% or more of them consume cannabis as a relief from the schizophrenia. Not the cause of it, you fucking idiots. It's because so many of them smoke cannabis that they're able to take those numbers and just flip them upside down. Health Canada warns me that higher THC content could put me at risk of those things, yet look at how confusing the THC content is listed. Is it 0.6 or is it 11?
But
Maybe it feels like whoever wrote it is kind of schizophrenic and maybe a little psychotic. So warning, don't smoke this weed.
can cause schizophrenia and psychosis.
Schizophrenia. Smoke this weed. No danger whatsoever of those things. I haven't felt schizophrenic once. Or psychotic. Not once in my whole life. So, I stand behind the tried and tested black market marijuana. Which, I don't know, started out as the same marijuana, oddly enough. Right? The black market has whatever this is. I got one going. The black market has whatever this is, and so do they. Right? So, how come theirs is so shitty comparatively? Oops. They don't have a clue what they're doing out there. They're just, it's all about making money as fast and as hard as you can based on nothing. No fucking track record whatsoever for even growing weed. Right? You know, a long time ago, I think it was the Murdoch case that forced the government to provide medical marijuana to patients. So the Tilrays and the Tweeds popped up into our lives and grew the shittiest fucking weed ever. Nobody wanted it. 9% of card holders at the time bought the weed. So then Health Canada comes along and says, well, let's sell it to the recreational user and use the same shitty growers that grew this shitty medical marijuana. Right? What the fuck is that? That's not recreational weed.
Well, my question is, why isn't there a separation between medical and recreational growers if medical users have more rights than me? Like, why does the same person get to grow the same weed, and yet, you know, I can't go to someone growing medicinally and purchase weed from them for recreational purposes, or have them grow my recreational cannabis for me? But yet, there's the government sitting there, you know, dealing in both hands, and yet, you know, I can't go to a medical person who I know grows the best cannabis out there and say, hey, grow my 4 plants for me, which is fucking ridiculous.
So here they end up with these licensed producers that were nothing more than really horrible medicinal growers, if you will, now given the opportunity to grow for the recreational market. That's fucking insane. And could you politicians do less fucking work? Aren't you getting sick of these idiots not doing anything? They're working so hard at not fucking doing anything, right? And by just plugging it into those horrible weed providers, they didn't even ask, did they not fucking care? Like, really? Why would you do that? Why would you allow these people who grow the worst fucking weed ever to become the providers for the rest of the country? Oh my God.
Well, you know, they're all in bed with each other. It's all big money. None of us have that kind of power to lobby and, you know, oh, look, we're already an established company. We're supplying a medical market.
So and now these
give us more rights to create worse weed for the recreational market. And
they haven't really legalized marijuana for recreational use, because this is recreational use marijuana. All you've done is pretended to not be growing medical marijuana. That's what tweed does. That's what fucking Canopy Growth does. That's what Aurora does. These people grow medical marijuana. Don't want it, thanks. Want recreational marijuana. There's a difference, apparently. Right? Apparently there's a difference between these two. So how is it the tweed now, are they growing it differently than they did for the medical marijuana people? At the time, actually, they're not growing anything. Still isn't any fucking weed coming out of these people yet. How in the fuck do you get to go traipse around the world and make all these deals with every country on the planet to provide them with anything when that country or that company can easily look around the corner and go, well, wait a second, you're not even providing weed for Canadians yet.
And, you know, they don't plan to for what, the next 3 years? They say that there's going to be a shortage of weed. It's like, oh, so, yeah, we're not going to be ready for, 3 years, but I want you to value my company at, like, billions of dollars. That's like going on to Dragon's Den. I mean, they would laugh at you. Seriously.
It's all on speculation with a company that has not proven themselves to be able to accomplish anything yet.
Well, not only that,
Right?
they're legitimizing this based on, these false THC percentages. Like, I mean, THC only makes up 3 to 5% of the plant. So at most you could have, 11% of 3 to 5%, which would then be, 0.64. So out of the entire plant, there's 0.64% THC. Like, that's nothing.
Well, how does that equate to, let's say you had...
But you can't, right? Because there's cannabinoids in there. And
well, let's say you have a gram of marijuana. They're saying even that 0.6 of that. What's 0.6 of a gram? That's a lot of fucking weight that's supposed to be just THC. How the fuck could that even be 0.6? Right? That's more than half a gram. Isn't it? Isn't that the math? If I got a gram of weed, 0.6.
0.06.
Oh, it's 0.06.
0.06. So then that would be like...
What's that?
A 0.6 of a gram. Or
still, that's a lot of THC in a little fucking pile there, isn't it?
Totally.
Way more than you could actually have on your gram of weed. So then... laughably so, they leap that to 11%. And with no explanation as to what it is, and have no fucking clue what they're even writing there.
Well, none of this is quantifiable either, because it's like, the development of the trichome head. Like, there's trichomes on the inside of the bud, which are going to be less developed than the trichomes on the outside of the bud, which are hit by, like, UVB light and can create cannabinoids and all of this, right? So... and most of that gets cut off. So people who are like trimming their bud and just wasting their shake, or
Hey, Carly.
That's probably some of the dankest.
What was going on down there? There was some. It is 4:20 here in Vancouver. That's where we are, by the way. If you just tuned in, there was a dispensary raid. What the heck happened?
Well,
Carly's in the house.
Oh my goodness. I was working in the warehouse today, Pod TV. I'm sorry, I don't have my Pod TV face on right now.
TV face.
I don't have.
know.
I have nothing on my face right now. I've been working in the warehouse all day, so don't judge me, viewers. So we were in the store and we heard that one of the dispensaries just down the street was getting raided, and we heard that there were still people in there. So we ran down as soon as we could to see if we could get some footage and see what was going on. But when we got there, there was a sign that said "back in 5 minutes" on the door. The open sign was still illuminated, but when you looked through the glass, all of their shelves had been completely emptied. You could see that it was post-raid kind of mess. And there's another place next door to it too, Cush Mountain, that had been shut down. And there is like a gaggle of people in front of the dispensary being like, it's been more than 5 minutes. What's going on? And everyone was standing around looking for weed, talk about how everywhere is getting raided. And a young woman walked past and she said, hey guys, I was in there a few hours ago and the cops came in. So they're not going to be back today. And so we asked her, she said that she was in, she was the last person to buy weed from them. She was buying some pre-rolls and then cops came in, full dress, big guns, everything. And they came in and they said, you guys don't have a proper license to operate, so you're operating illegally, and we're going to need you to give us all of your cash and your marijuana. So they gave them all of their cash and their marijuana, and that's all the details that we pretty much know of. We're like trying to figure out more, but apparently Vancouver has been now for a couple weeks, quietly, not very publicly. We haven't been hearing a lot about this in the news and stuff. Has been going and executing the raids. So we called up a few people who are still in operation and gave them the heads up. But it's happening. Time is here. They're cracking down in Vancouver. And there's like literally people wandering around Gastown being like, where do we get weed? Where do we get weed? We went and checked to see if RedMed was open, and we heard they had been raided. But when we went and looked at them, they had a sign saying that they couldn't go in because there was fire damage. And that was in December. So you don't know. It might have been a rumor that RedMed was raided. But apparently a lot of places are getting raided in Vancouver. There's still a few that haven't been. I'm not going to go and announce the names of them all right now because that might not be the wisest thing to do for them. But
well, the media doesn't seem to be picking up on it.
That's the thing. We barely knew it was happening because they're doing it very quietly, it seems. So I'm going to make a post soon for cannabis culture, encouraging dispensary employees and supporters. Let us know if there's a raid going down so we can let people know what's going on, give our support.
You'd think you'd hear about. You would think the media would be all over it. They can't fucking wait to start reporting shit like that.
Well, we gave Piper Courtney a call right away, so hopefully the Georgia Straight will be breaking the story on it shortly after we did here.
But
right
if others have been raided too, I sure haven't heard about it from anybody.
I haven't either, but
so
I think
it could be unrelated here. It might have something to do with what maybe else was going on or something.
The funny thing was, I think that because we're in the cannabis community so closely, we don't notice it as bad because we have other places to get cannabis still available to us. But when we were talking to the people on the street looking for weed, they're like, this is so frustrating. Everywhere is getting shut down now. So apparently it has been happening for a while. But we're not sure either whether it was the VPD or the RCMP. We're not sure because I know that the city was kind of implying they would get help from other resources, and it is within RCMP territory, and the VPD doesn't really like raiding dispensaries, so we're not sure if it's VPD or RCMP that are doing the raids either.
Yeah, well, it'd be good to know that.
Yeah. We don't have a whole lot of information. We just
hope that's not what's going on.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. I'm pretty nervous for all of the dispensary owners that are still in operation.
Yeah, it's just maniacal bullshit.
Yeah.
These guys are just crooks.
Did you hear about the new potential dispensary opening in Ottawa?
Not as yet.
So apparently they're looking at opening one of the legalized cannabis stores, with employees that do the can't sell, the lift and mad education program that's going to be mandatory, telling you how to spot high people and stuff. Yeah. They want to open a location at our former cannabis culture dispensary location.
Oh, of course they do.
Isn't that funny? What a crazy coincidence. Out of all of the places in the city, they decide that it's a good idea to open up where we used to be open.
Yeah, they're just hijacking the whole thing. Is what they're doing. I don't know. Online today, we looked at pictures of the the look of the new dispensary. And it was like a fucking empty room. There was nothing in it. They had nothing on display. Nothing about cannabis was evident in any one of the pictures. And this is going to be the haute couture of fucking cannabis stores. Well, idiots will spend their millions. Quite frankly, stores don't need much. A lot of people put a lot of money into redecorating a fucking space before they go into business, spending countless amounts of money, and no one really cares. It's whatever you're selling inside that store is important. If that's the focus and you do that well, I don't really care what your walls look like, or that you imported the wood from fucking Madagascar. Like, really, people don't care. They're looking at the floor. Yeah, but it's just not a focal point. If I'm selling weed, they want to see the weed. They walk in looking at the weed every time, right? Right to the weed. You didn't see the sign on the door? And they went, well, no. Not looking.
Yeah, I think that's the main issue with people from outside the cannabis industry getting in. It isn't so much that we're not willing to share our culture. It's that they don't know about it before they get into it. It's like the whole Tokyo smoke thing. They were trying to be the coolest, most high-end bongs on the market. They're closed today, which is weird. We noticed that too, actually. But they're operating with a license. But at the same time, it's literally always empty in there. So I'm not sure how they ever can afford to stay open because
they just got bought out by.
They got bought by Canopy
Yeah,
Growth.
exactly.
Yeah, so
Canopy
Growth
Growth
has so much money. They're just throwing it on.
That's literally what they're doing. It's just sitting there. There's like 2 dudes in that place every day, an employee and the security guard, and they just are pacing in circles and looking out the window. And I'll see them like wave at people passing on the street to try to get them to go in. And that's the extent of what I've seen going on.
And they're
Tokyo
selling
Smoke.
weed? Doubt
No.
it.
No, I
Doubt
think
it.
it's just a lounge.
It's a
maybe?
lounge kind of thing and information. I don't know. I haven't been in it yet. I'm kind of, the idea of going in it kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth. I know I should go check it out, but like,
Yeah.
I don't really want to like go in.
No, it's
Here's
just
my
fucking
money to
sad.
be here. No.
Once again, they're gobbling up the worst fucking thing. The Canopy Growth did nothing, or Tokyo Smoke did nothing. They don't represent anything. Nothing new. Didn't do anything. They just announced that they were there and something, and then they got bought up for $250 million. Bang. 4 locations. Oh my fucking God.
The only thing they're really known for is insulting the entire glass community.
Right?
And they did nothing. They have no track record, just like Canopy Growth. Right? They have no track record of success in anything yet. People are giving them countless billions of dollars still. Right? Keep going. Grr. And not producing any weed. I read an article that they boasted they got 4.5 million square feet of grow space and no fucking weed. So what? I got 1 million square feet too, and I don't have any weed. Really?
Yeah, there's a weed shortage.
What a bunch of horse shit. Right? Now a big discussion. I read too that one of the LPs was, kind of lobbying hard to stop outdoor growing on a commercial level. Not for the right reasons. I too am not a bit. If you want to grow outdoor for commercial reasons, go right ahead, but you'd better charge what it's worth. Even in the black market pricing, you'd better charge what it's worth. Don't fucking think that it's worth the billions of really good indoor weed.
Totally.
If you're going to grow it outdoor in Canada, come on.
Yeah. I want to pay $2.50 a gram, please, for outdoor.
Yeah. No, it's they lobby very hard to keep the prices high. This is what part of the drooling is all about. When they talk about how much this is all worth, all the billions that it's worth, is based on the highest fucking prices you can imagine.
Well, it's even worse than the black market prices. And it's like, are you serious? Like, if you actually want to eliminate black market, you got to make the best weed at the cheapest price, period. Then no one would want to compete.
Yeah. Like, it's pretty simple, but gosh, you don't seem to think like we do somehow. Why is that? Why do they not think this way? There's 350 fucking members of parliament federally. 30 million people live in Canada. How did we get stuck with 350 that not one of them thinks like us? Or that they're not all reasonable. Normal people making reasonable, obvious decisions. Why are they 350 people out of 30 million who fucking don't?
Oh, it's because they all go to law school and they're all friends with lawyers and politicians and they're all in bed with each other. And
What the fuck is going on here? And then at every level of government, it's somewhat similar. You don't get what you want. You don't get what you need from a handful of people. How the fuck did that happen? I don't know how many million people live in the greater Vancouver area for voting people in, but those 10 city councillors, they're all the same. Same as the last one, fucking doing nothing for anybody. How do we get stuck with them? Why is it always those kind of people that are running the affairs? Or is it the same people running the affairs and it doesn't matter who the politicians are? Ah, that's more like it. The system's fucked and run by rich cats pushing our politicians around to do their bidding as opposed to what would be best for Canadians, who ultimately will pay the fucking bill at the end of the day. Oh, don't get me started.
took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah. Fucking stupid. What? They announced, too, they're going to allow cannabis retail space in the West Edmonton Mall.
What? Yeah, run by, what, Tweed or something?
Aurora or somebody.
Yeah, one of the LPs will have their own shop.
No,
Which
these
I thought that they weren't
LPs.
supposed to be able to have.
Yeah, they're going to try
all of it. Rules are
skirt the
changing.
rules as
We've
much as they
got
can.
lobbyists now.
So there was some other announcement about some scientists being able to make THC and CBD out of yeast. So?
So now you can just
So?
grow. Now you can just grow a lot of really, you know,
Yeah.
you can
Them
grow a
yeasty
loaf of
terps.
THC bread now. You know,
Yeah.
take some THC yeast, bake it into a loaf. You now have THC loaf. Like take some yeast. You know, like any food that you make can now be infused because it's now THC yeast. So it's going to be growing into whatever you put it into. You know, you can then like, you know, mix it with like
But
milk.
he made
I think he like
CBD and THC from yeast.
no, he like
Somehow.
binded it to it, so then it can grow. I
No,
think
created
It's
it.
like a type
Oh,
of
no. Created it
infusion,
from it.
or he
adding
created
different enzymes.
Interesting.
So, of course, the logical conclusion to this thing was that someday we'll be able to make beer that way with the cannabis yeast. The whole fucking article is laced with all sorts of booze stuff because it's the same yeast, apparently, that they use to ferment beer.
Was this person? Is he like a biologist, like a chemist? Did he?
No, he's a drunk from the downtown. Yeah, he was just drunk outside Molson's. Down there by the bridge.
Oh, this must have been an Onion article.
Yeah. No, it's all over the fucking... But who cares? Like, I don't care. Really? I know how to get THC and CBD. You get it off the marijuana plant. If I could only get my hands on that. Right? And everybody else wants it to do whatever they want to do with it. Who the fuck cares? I don't care. Take your little yeasty thing and off you go with it. Do whatever you want. So, just trying to take advantage of this little plant. And they always do that. We must have it only. You can't have it. So, it's crazy shit. There's a guy in Ontario, of course, because the politicians there are so fucking lazy. They said, oh, we don't want to have to do any work about this cannabis thing. Let's have a lottery. We'll give the licenses away by lottery, thereby ensuring, or not assuring, that anyone who knew anything about cannabis would actually get involved, because it was a lottery. So anyway, some guy's suing the Ontario government now because he had a dispensary going, and now he didn't win the lottery. So he's taking them to court for his losses.
Good.
Yeah.
You should make it into a class action.
It's interesting.
Hi, Michelle.
Everyone entered the lottery. No, but there's some shady stuff. Like, there's a lot of... It's weird. It's kind of a weird... The winners, it seems kind of weird that there's, like, not a lot of people... I don't know. It's just... There's a lot of coincidences going on in that lottery. So I see why he's trying to push for...
They should have had it televised. The spinning of the fucking drum and the picking out of the names with a clown and fucking...
They should.
Bad confetti effects going on behind it. Like the circus that it is. All right? But, yeah, so that's interesting. We'll see what might come of that. Cannabis stores are going to be open on Wednesdays now. Mark that down on your calendar.
What, the 1 day a week?
They got enough weed for an extra day now.
How many days is that now?
I don't know. I think they're only closed 2 days a week now. But they want to raise the age limit to 21.
What?
In Quebec. Oh, yeah. They're not satisfied. They just I don't know what the fuck's going on in Quebec. It's just a nightmare.
Dude, it's ass backwards there. You're not allowed to have anything with a pot leaf on it.
No.
No
No,
shirts.
nothing to.
Nothing.
No, it's they want to hide the cannabis behind what? Poutine and smoked meat.
Dude, those things are gonna
Those
take
go
a
together
hit
pretty well, actually.
if they change that limit. Those,
To 21.
yeah.
Yeah.
Businesses
No, it's
are gonna
fucking
take a
insane.
hit.
The
Kids
drinking
are-
age is 19, for Christ's sakes, there or less.
It's 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say that you can drink a lot younger than 18 in Quebec. I'd say the like drinking age in Hull is about 13, 14. You can get away pretty easily with drinking booze.
You heard it here first.
Cheap too, and you can find it everywhere.
Yeah, even when I was a teenager, we knew that if you went to Quebec, you could drink at a younger age, and they had bigger bottles of beer,
Oh yeah.
the quart size.
We used to do Hull runs, and my friend would go down and do the run, and I'd be the designated joint roller, and I'd keep him company and roll joints the whole time. And we would go down and we would stock up on all the cheap booze, and you could get, they called them octagons, and it was like a 48-pack. And people would buy like a couple of those, and a 48-pack
of beer.
Yes, and it was like a big octagon shape. And by the time we got back to town, people would buy them because you'd sell them for like 50 cents more than it cost you. And you could get like little mini kegs. We used to get mini kegs all the time of Heineken, do mini keg stands. You can get like 40% beers. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's just like there's a strong alcohol culture in Quebec, but they hate weed apparently. It doesn't make sense. I'm all for, if people want access to alcohol, that's their decision. That's fine. I don't agree with prohibiting things. If they like to have easy access to booze, whatever. But how does it make any more sense to make a harmful substance easily available and a healthful substance not easily available and some sort of secret taboo thing? Where's the
Makes you wonder, eh? Makes you wonder what the fuck is going on, right? It's so many questions. We have questions, but they don't care, right? They've chosen to totally ignore the recreational user of cannabis, is the whole idea here. The only people that they've ever listened to are the medicinal users, right? They're all now working for the LPs. Huh. The fuck? I don't get it. I don't really understand why even Canopy Growth snapped up 4 or 5 of the main medical cannabis activists. And for what? To grow more of your horrid fucking medical marijuana that you've always grown and only grown? Or none? Or do you snuff those people out of the world because they're a potential threat to exposing that we all should have the right to cannabis, unrestricted, for God's sakes? There is no evidence to suggest that it needs any rules so far. If you could bring forth one person who's ever been harmed by this substance, that would, like, one isn't going to be enough, but give me a fucking break here. The vehement prohibition that's been placed on this plant and no evidence brought forward once to suggest what the actual danger is. It's just this fucking danger. And they get away with it somehow because nobody ever asks them about it. Journalists have become useless. They're not asking why. Why is this going on? Because the answers a lot of the times are frightening. But don't get me started.
Yeah, you asked too many questions.
Yeah, I did.
No, I mean, just in general. When people start asking too many questions, it becomes very dangerous, you know? And that's why people, journalists especially nowadays, they don't like asking the questions.
Well, you know, they could come along and go, hey, can you show us the danger? Can you cite any incidences around dispensaries in Vancouver since they've been here that would suggest there was any danger, that any disruption to society that you could report? Or
Right.
injury to any human, young, senior, normal people, regular people? Any danger? Could you show us some to support the need for all this regulation and control?
Right. Or at least show us that, you know, how many cases of people there are that are hurt by this versus how many are helped, because that also is never looked at. You know, people are like, oh, look at these, like, you know, 5 people that have fallen victim to this because it doesn't agree with them and they took way too much for their first time. And it's like, okay, yeah, but now you've gotten like 70 complaints versus the, like, you know, thousands of people that are now disrupted by, like...
You got dizzy and a little disoriented. What is that? Is that being hurt?
No.
No, they totally recovered without any assistance from having consumed this thing that they weren't used to. So, I'm not really talking about those people. It's the rest of us who consume it all the time and have for a very long time that show no ill effects. What the fuck?
No, exactly.
What am I to think here? You're telling me it's dangerous, yet I'm not seeing that. No one has. But you're ignoring us because it's recreational. We're only doing it for a good time.
Well,
And that's the crime, is a good time.
I don't know. I find that having
Isn't
a
it?
I find that having a good time all the time makes my output or outlook on life a lot better, you know?
From my point of view, the
I
fact
find
that
it medicinal to have a positive outlook on life. Sorry.
yeah. Well, there's not. I don't think there's any products outside of the actual medical world that you can attach the name medicinal to. I don't think you're allowed to say this yogurt is medicinal and sell it. And there's no other product. There's no other substance that you are allowed in this world to say that it's medicinal, except cannabis. Right? What the fuck is that? You can't say this is medicinal echinacea. You're not allowed to say that. But how can this plant be called medicinal then? Why has it been singled out to be called that? And a lot of the reason it ends up being is so they can still persecute the recreational user. Right? So they've set it apart, saying it's different, it's more important.
And then they won't give it to anyone.
Canopy Growth made an announcement this week that they were promoting Hillary Black to fucking another stupid position in their company. Right? Having to do with patients' advocacy. You go, wow. And I read the article, and no, Hillary got her start by opening the first Cannabis Compassion Club in Canada. You go, oh, that's not where she got her start. Her start was here, cannabis culture, in the recreational market. Oh my God. She was in the recreational market. And then hijacked everything that we had, all the strains, all the seeds, all the methods of growing, and especially the prices, and then called it medical. That's all she did. Found a loophole. So it could have been called the BC Loophole Society, as could they all have been, right? They found a loophole to sell weed. It was the same fucking weed. Their growers got the seeds from the recreational market and grew weed. Come on. But they won't admit, they won't come out and say, it's the same weed, because they're just so afraid to lose their position. Their position is that they can have as much weed as they want, anywhere they want,
Because it's
carry as much as they want, more than you could ever consume, and I don't get to have any. I don't get to have any. And that's why they chose not to include us when these people who work at Canopy Growth question why we are miffed that we're not being included. Every one of the main medical cannabis activists have been snuffed up by that company. They all work for them now. And not one recreational cannabis activist works for them. Not one. Right? That's the difference. It's all about medical marijuana. It's not recreational at all. So stop saying it is and let us grow the recreational marijuana, and you guys can go have your medical shit. Go sell CBD to Portugal.
Right?
Right?
Let me get my black market
that you
cannabis
grew from
strains.
yeast.
I don't want to be buying your shitty strains that you got from the black market, but somehow claim aren't from the black market.
And then you'll all fade away into the Tokyo smoke. Hey? It's just fucking Tokyo smoke and mirrors from these guys. And I don't know. Not too sure what to do about it.
I'm extremely
It's an
stoned at
unfortunate
this
thing.
point.
But it's also a good example of how the government does things. It's not just cannabis. This is how they are with everything. Frighteningly enough, they are this inept, they are this crooked, conniving, trying to eke out every penny they can get along the way. That's what they do. So this is an example of what they're doing with every other thing that they do. So, the system. We got to change and challenge the system. You know, you can't change governments. It doesn't matter. You can't go, oh, Justin Trudeau. What are you going to do? It's either him or the Conservatives, and they're just equally as horrid. How is that possible? Not a bright fucking light, eh? Not a bright light in the sky. The NDP will never get fucking elected, nor will any other offshoot party. Not a chance. So you get one guy, big fucking deal. Right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter anyway. It's still those rich cats who are running the show. The oil people, the fucking God knows what people that they are running the show. They don't really care.
Disgusting.
Justin Trudeau or whoever. It doesn't matter to them.
No.
Don't you get it?
It's all
So,
just a big price
voting.
tag.
Cities have got way too much power to do whatever they want underneath it all. City of Vancouver can break federal law by taking money from the sale of cannabis through dispensaries. That's what the Supreme Court said. You go, wow, well, that's interesting. How'd they get that much power? And how come they've never... What else do they do here in the city against federal law with a bylaw? How do they do that? Huh. I don't think they do it anywhere, do they? Just this one.
Just this one.
Yeah, we'll exercise our right here, right now against cannabis. Holy fuck, sorry. Hey, we were just kidding that we wanted it legalized. Just kidding, right? Never mind then.
So
Wow.
we have 420 coming up soon.
Yeah, the big 420 is still continuing to shape up into
50-something days away.
really the
think
math
so.
of it all. Wow. We'd have to start doing some planning.
Yeah,
No.
maybe in like, a month or so. Start figuring it out.
Yeah. This year, actually, we got and met together earlier than we've ever met for a 420 before. So, that's something. We've done it a while, right? And it's kind of the same people. So everybody shows up and goes, well, yeah, we're going to do the same. And here we'll go. So, it's going to be big, though. They got some fine entertainment lined up.
Yeah, I'm excited. Possibility
And
of a
much other
tote
cool
cam.
shit, too, huh?
The tote cam.
Yeah, maybe you can come down and get yourself on the big screen, maybe win a prize. So, yeah, it should be a big fun day, and it's a Saturday, fucking long weekend. Come on.
Nice. Yeah.
The weather will be
That's amazing.
spectacular. And we'll rock the day away and smoke it up. Like, really, it's such a big fucking deal. This bullshit about not smoking in the park. Yeah, I don't know. How about fuck off? Like, really? We're outside. Come on. These parks and these beaches should have an area where you could actually go and have a smoke.
Totally.
The fuck do you think we don't smoke, people?
Or, you know, just put ashtrays up and find the people who don't use the ashtrays.
Well, something. You could accommodate the world rather than banning it. You lazy fucks. Well, if we ban it, we don't have to do anything. Don't have to do anything. That's what they're up to. Banning stuff so they don't have to do anything. You couldn't figure out that people actually smoke, whether it be cigarettes or cannabis in this fucking world, and they might enjoy a place to go and do that. I don't want my smoke blown downwind to some fucking family that's going to become schizophrenic and psychotic. I appreciate that, but why do I get denied my ability to consume these legal substances? What the fuck is that? Why do those people, well, it's not those people downwind from me. I don't blame them. I blame the Parks Board. Why don't you think that I deserve the right to do this? Because you don't like it? No, you don't even think about it, actually. You just go, no, we're going to ban it. It's banned. So even though on 420 we put up a lot of smoke and a big cloud of smoke at 420, so who the fuck what? It is one day of the year. What has happened as a result of us doing that? Nothing. Nothing's happened. Hello.
Hello. Oh, hi.
Jodie.
Hey, Jodie. Hey, Jer. Hey, Craig.
It's going good. Oh, everybody's in the house. Jeremiah and Jordan. What raid?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
she
the
did.
green.
It is. Alive in the fish camp. Yeah, they all went down. Yeah, you might as well. There's a chair.
bought TV.
Like, who's sitting there?
Well, Carly was, but
So yeah, Carly probably already told you everything there is to know. There was a witness there that said she was the last one to buy the pre-rolls, and cops came in and shut the whole place down, saying you don't have a license to sell cannabis, you can't be open. Give us the weed, give us the cash. Shut the place down.
Sounds like a shakedown to me.
Yeah, it does. But it was, cops in full uniforms with their guns and everything. So scary stuff, Vancouver. We're not sure if that is VPD or if that is the beast or like a RCMP, but somebody
or the province
or that new
fucking
provincial, yeah.
Well,
So
we'll
scary.
see if anybody reports it on the news
And what we
gives us any of those details.
exactly.
Not.
The store that's right next to it is also a dispensary, and it's shut down. And according to the witness who was there, she said the cops came and shut that one down a week or two ago.
Oh.
And that's why she was going to this one instead, and now the cops shut this one down. So,
Wow.
interesting.
Surprising that there hasn't
Scary.
been more, like, talk about
You'd
it.
think you would hear
Well,
something.
like, that we
Well,
haven't
they're probably
heard
deliberately
about
trying
it.
to keep it fairly quiet.
We did
right?
alert some of the media to it, so hopefully they look into it and talk to Piper. She's going to call the VPD to see if they give a quote from
Well.
the Georgia to the Georgia Strait. So we'll see how it
Well, I
goes.
hope it's an unrelated incident.
Yeah, that would
Right.
be. Wouldn't that
Some
be?
other nefarious things going on, perhaps, around it.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't speculate that. There's no reason to think that is true. But we'll hope not.
Well, but today's news tells you that whether you're in Canada or America, your government is on the stand for some serious corruption. Like
wow.
the former Attorney General Jodie Wilson-Raybould today at the committee saying that she faced sustained significant pressure with veiled threats to make her not charge this gigantic military industrial complex company for, corruption and paying dictators and stuff and all sorts of nasty things. Anyway, so she's
brutal.
spilling the beans on the Canadian government. Trudeau's making a statement tonight. We might see this is pretty significant. I can't even keep up with it. But in the U.S., something's going on with Trump. What is it? Is it a lawyer? What's going on?
Michael Cohen.
Something's no. It's like this
Yeah.
is
Who's
massive.
this Trump
He
you
finally.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Michael
finally-
Cohen, his former lawyer,
It's like
today
confessing all sorts of-
testified publicly on television, and they asked him a bunch of questions. I haven't seen any of it yet. I've been working, but apparently, or was it that yesterday morning?
What's happening today? Apparently,
yeah. My
Trump
days
Jr.,
are a blur,
his
but
son or Kushner or whatever. Anyway, everyone's seeing the
There's a lot
corruption
of-
is everywhere,
Yeah.
and that's just it's just another day. I mean, we all knew it was like this, but they're
Yeah.
all on the stand today, so that's some news.
scary stuff. This government officials,
All the
corrupt
witnesses
everywhere.
will be dead by Monday. Well, that's good. I hope. God, I don't know what I hope.
Yeah, if Vancouver,
Anymore.
if this is really the start of a Vancouver crackdown, that's going to be really sad because the VPD have until now, if this is the VPD, held off and said that they don't want to devote any resources to this at all and that it's not worth it. So if that's a change in policy, it's a pretty big one.
There's a lot of pressure from
Yeah.
elsewhere, is my
Yeah.
suspicion. I really believe that they don't want BC to represent what people thought legalization would look like.
Right.
It's like the promised land, so they don't want people to see that.
Good prices. Huh?
Right?
Right.
It's like as long as BC and Vancouver exist as an example.
Like how
That-
bizarre, right? Like in the real world, this is not how you create a new industry, all right?
Do force and
You
coercion.
you would revel in the idea that BC has such a famous reputation around cannabis, and you would exploit that.
It keeps the
You would
province going.
think,
Right.
This
Yeah.
new industry that the federal government said we can have. Why wouldn't you embrace it? And
Yeah.
no,
BC Bud, man, it's supposed to be world
No.
famous.
It is, it
right?
keeps
They
the whole
go just
province
the
going.
fucking opposite here. Like it's just
Sad. Very sad.
insidious.
Yeah, no, it's
Evil.
brutal. Makes no sense.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Strange days.
You
Yeah,
just
we'll
What's
gotta
the good
see how
news,
that one
though?
pans
What was
out.
the good? Like, isn't there supposed to be, do you want the good news and the bad news? I assume I walked in on the bad news part,
We
so.
run out of time for the for the good news.
Tune in next week for good news.
420 is good news. That's a beautiful thing. That's the people and the culture and what we're doing this for. So that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a very nice thing. Even though it's a lot of struggle and fight, don't think it comes easy.
Well, the city officials, of course, are now in their city council voting on a couple days ago whether they should try to find a new spot for 2020 for us.
See, there's a prime example of these idiots doing nothing. Right? What if my boss said to me, "I want you to fucking look after this," right? And everybody expects them to, and then I go to my boss and go, we discussed it, and we're not going to do anything till next year.
Right.
We want
We're going to put
propose
it
to
off
do it
till
later.
next year. So
Yeah.
this way, we don't have to do anything.
Right. They do this every year.
All the time.
And then
Yeah.
So
And it's fine for us. I mean, it works for us because what they're doing is finding some sort of plausible deniability where, well, it's not ours. We're not really, it's not the government who's allowing this to happen. These guys just do it.
hasn't that always been the way with them? Eh?
Yeah,
Well,
but yet they help us. I mean, they actually permit us to do it. They write us a letter that says we're allowed to do it, and it says what we're allowed to do, and we're allowed to do everything.
Funny
So-
when people say, "Oh, they're not having a protest; they're just breaking the law," and it's like, "Yo, peaceful civil disobedience, breaking the law is protest. Like that is a form of protest. So that's kind of
Yes.
the point of it all." But
We were just talking about the smoke.
they hate the smoke. Well, they don't make a
We
fuss
got
about the
smoke.
fireworks. Go cancel that smoke fest.
yeah, we don't like the way you smell.
The
That's
way
what
we
they're
look.
telling us.
Oh, you certainly saw. Did you talk perhaps about the Mad Canada Lift Ontario training stuff and how
Yes.
they've told people if you look
I'm
disheveled,
sorry, Jody. You look stoned to me. I'm not going to listen.
right? I might
have to
fumble.
say
I might
that
fumble with the pin in
discovered
my
that.
card. I might fumble and drop my stuff
Took me 18 seconds, but
to tell that I'm stoned.
still
Is that
within
easy?
But it's
But, like,
profiling.
it's totally
They're
profiling.
profiling people who shake
A
or
lot of
who are
patients
fumbling.
who are
You're like,
medical might be
yeah.
disheveled. People who are poor might not be able to wash their clothes.
Totally
Like it's an
insane.
awful thing. So this stigma still exists, and I'm not doing a lot of interviews lately, but I got a request for an interview for today this morning, saying, "Hey, could you come on this Midas News?" It's like actually financial news, but they're in the pot thing like everybody is. And they said, "We're actually doing a piece on stigma and how it still exists, and you could speak to that." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll speak to that. Send me the questions in the morning." I wake up early for my interview and I get an email and he goes, my producer says that there's no more cannabis stigma. And you and I both know that's not true, but the show's been canceled. They said it's not a story. And I was like, oh man, well this tells me
everything's
that
fixed.
tells me that I have work to do. We all have work to do. There is stigma.
Holy cow.
Like,
Yeah, it's
the fact
all
that they
over.
pretend- It's like, oh well, but I can invest in it and my, so it must not have stigma now that I can talk about it, says the guy on Bay Street. Wall Street, whichever one, all those streets.
Yeah.
But it's
No, we
crazy.
weren't talking about legal marijuana. We were talking about us.
Yeah,
There's
our
still a
stigma's gone.
stigma here.
You know, gangster government selling cannabis, that stigma's gone.
Thanks a lot, Lyft.
Yeah, no, that's scummy. That's the
What a
worst.
bunch of
They're the
garbage.
worst.
It's
The
just
worst.
another way to cash in, right? Another opportunity to take advantage of the legalization of cannabis is to get the fucking ticket to have to train. Everybody's forced to take your stupid course.
And they're not allowed
Yeah.
to choose another provider.
No.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon. Yeah.
See you later, Craig.
Craig X
It's,
out of the building.
It's ludicrous.
He is expertly rolling out of here.
See you later, talk. Yeah.
It's true. This is a terrible thing that they've set into place, and everybody who wants to be in the new industry has to kind of suck up to the government lies and go, yeah, that's right. Cannabis is bad for you. Yeah. Those criminals are evil, bad people that do it without a license. Yeah. And it's like they become the cheerleaders for the state because that's how they get their license. And if you don't do the legwork for them, they'll take your license away. It's kind of sad. But, oh, well. That's life. We're alive still. We're breathing air. Look at us. We can see, we can breathe, we can smell, we can
Yeah.
taste. We're pretty blessed at this moment, right?
And we know the
True.
difference.
Yeah.
But no, sorry, we're recreational. You don't have to listen. We're psychotic and schizophrenic.
But that makes me mentally ill, so therefore the marijuana becomes medicine, huh?
There you go. Exactly.
Well, this
Alec, brother.
Craziness.
marijuana from the government warns you that it can give you psychosis and schizophrenia.
I know.
The
So
lies.
So why would you want to smoke this weed, though?
You should
Like,
get your
you know,
weed.
The
smoke
government weed is-
recreational weed,
Yeah.
which does not cause psychosis.
Which might-
or
Oh, you're right. They were
schizophrenia.
saying this stuff is actually garbage.
Yeah.
This isn't real marijuana.
like,
so
you know,
maybe the
warning.
labels are
Promise you.
honest.
So I
Regular
found-
use of, like, you know,
I found something out. You know how they say on the packages that, like, I can't remember if it's 1 in 12 or 1 in 11 people who try cannabis get addicted.
get a haircut.
So Celeste was curious about this, and she found out that apparently 1 in 11 people in Canada have addictive personalities.
Of some kind.
Of some kind, of whatever
Like
it
our
is.
coffee drinking.
It doesn't matter if it's coffee, whatever. That is the statistics that 1 out of however many people are more likely to become addicted, and they use that as their fact on the cannabis packaging. So they're like finding ways to make it like, oh, this is a fact.
It's like 100. It's like putting on a milk jug.
Could
Like
put that on
100% of people who drink milk die. It's like, well, I guess that's true, actually. Wait a minute. But would you put that label on it? Like, we all die.
But it is 100%, so I'm going to take that one. It's 100%. I want my milk 100%.
Unbelievable. That is way too funny.
No, it's
I'll go with
insane.
that.
Yeah,
And they
that is
do-
funny, though.
I'll bet they got just 100 lawyers figuring this shit out. Yes, we can say this, and we can't get
Creative
sued.
compliance, I'm told it's called. It's not law breaking when you're a corporation. It's called creative compliance.
And they do creatively comply, but fucking everybody just is out there taking advantage of us completely. And because I don't know, because we're not medicinal, we're the black market now. Right? Like, really? What the fuck? How did that happen?
Yeah, it's true.
This is recreational marijuana. It always has been.
Yeah.
What this is medical marijuana. Looks like it, smells like it, smokes like it. It is medical marijuana, provided by the very people who grow medical marijuana.
and yet they call it recreational.
So, in the infinite wisdom of the idiots that created this scheme, they said, "Hey, let's not look at anyone else to provide the marijuana, but those guys who grew the worst marijuana. Let's go with them.
Called lobbying. And then I think when people smoke that bad cannabis for a couple of years, they're going to start getting sick, and the government would say, look, we said it was bad.
They will take advantage, won't they?
Well, and now they really have. They're trying to, I think, really eradicate that medical label. Anyways, now they're trying.
Because if it's good for you, your health, they can't say it's bad for you and arrest you for it, right?
Right.
They have
You'd
to demonize
think.
Yeah.
You'd have to start thinking that way.
Well, and I
So-
think they're aware of the constitutionality issues around medical marijuana. So if they allow that to go any further, it starts to get, it's like the cat's out of the bag in a way. But if they try to limit it and say, well, there's no proof really, like they're still claiming there's no proof that medical marijuana helps anyone.
Yeah, like the
It's
medical stuff, you get it in the package, and it
Yeah, I
says,
know.
like, there's no evidence. It's just court cases, you know?
Yeah, it's
like,
court
this
cases.
isn't just court case evidence. It's like,
That means it's true. The court found.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Found.
Like, it's just unbelievable. And you know what? I tried to argue that with the guy from Health Canada who came to the Niche Canada event.
Yeah.
He came and he was from the federal government, and he was like a, charismatic type of slickster guy up
Yeah,
there or whatever.
they are.
And then, but we called him out on it we actually asked him questions about some of the stuff, and I bumped into him later, and I was like, asked him about that whole side of it, and they have no good answers. They're just like, well, there's not really, because he tried to say there's no evidence that cannabis actually, medical marijuana really helps anyone. And people from the audience were like jeering at him, boo, and I'm like, nah.
nothing. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Yet
So
those
they're-
are the people who are listened to.
Health
So
Canada,
grow your own.
Unhealth
Apparently
Canada.
it's legal now, or whatever. Or just keep
Good
growing
shit.
anyway, because like people
Yeah.
always have when it's been illegal. I mean, that's the way to do it, is just overgrow the government. You know.
Somehow, some way, again, still, come on. See, we provided all the cannabis in the first place. Us recreational people. We're responsible for all of this. They just came and took it away and called it medical. Now, they're turning around and calling it recreational again.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. People got a lot of nerve. But cannabis will prevail on
Always
this
does.
planet. It's going to take over the planet. When the rest of the world gets their shit together, cannabis don't mean shit. You won't be able to give it away the way they're running it now. So just wait till Africa gets on board.
Well, Mark's down in Africa right now.
He's
and
in
he
South
said-
Africa. Yeah,
he said it's
fucking-
just incredible. Like, there's so many people growing it. So there's clubs, there's edible shatter, there's everything. He's like,
Yeah.
it's just. He said all over the world. It's like Canada is a disaster, and everybody can see it. And the rest of the world, the people are trying to do their own thing. All the Canadian big companies are trying to get to all these countries and set up their deals with government officials. They've done it for a couple of years, and they will have their success. But the people themselves, growing the plant itself, are not downtrodden and feeling down the way we are here. They're feeling like, excellent, now's our time. Like, it's happening for us. And I hope that it'll go better everywhere else than it has here in Canada. So,
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah.
And
Well, I hope
it
goes
will.
better here eventually.
God, I don't know. It scares me because as much as I hate the Liberals and everything that's going on, the Conservatives are going to be a whole lot worse. So it's like
There's
we're
no way
just
out.
screwed every way. It's just
Yeah.
hellish. But keep your spirits up, kids. Get out and vote.
Yeah, right.
Oh, just have fun and love your loved ones, and that's the point of life, hey?
Yeah.
There you go.
Words of wisdom from
There's
Jodie
some
Emery.
silver
It's
lining
true.
to that dark cloud.
Then that's what we're always left with is a silver lining. Now, they didn't do anything for us this time around, right? So we'll have to keep working on that.
Yeah.
But until the next time we come to the castle, thanks and nice to see you guys.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys
Oh,
too.
one quick last news flash. Also today, the Liberal government, to try and distract, like pointlessly, from the giant scandal they're going through, is they said, oh, we're going to do pardons for small pot possession, like we said we would. And now the NDP and others are like, oh, you said you were going to do that before the winter began, and also it's not good enough. It's not the expungement. It's a stupid carrot they're dangling to try and get some more votes. So at least this is an opportunity to pressure them to do better. And like, so now go to cannabisamnesty.ca. It's a great organization. I'm an endorser and on their board of directors, and we're trying to get cannabis amnesty for people. And you can go and put some pressure on members of parliament, because like as much as we mock and joke about the system being crummy and hopeless and all that, which that's fair to say too, you have to engage with it. It's the shitty school bus that we're stuck on, and you know we got to try and like make that bus go to a better direction.
Yeah.
It's like, I often use this analogy. Try and get up near that wheel so you can like scream in the directions that you need to go instead of a fucking nightmare you're at. You know, like people say, just I don't vote, I don't get engaged, I'm just getting off the bus. I'm like, well, goody on you getting off the bus, but like everyone who's still on it is kind of fuckers.
There's no getting off this bus.
Like, you can
Right.
pretend you're not on that bus, but you're going down with us. So
Yeah,
like, I'm just
totally.
gonna go with. We need to steer in another direction, and
Yeah.
the pressure. It kind of works. It kind of works. So keep putting that pressure. The people power is real. That's why they try and convince us we don't have it. Because when we realize we do, then you topple governments and change shit. So people power means like believing in your power, and that others are believing themselves, and that united we are stronger. And that sounds so cheesy, but it actually is true.
It is very true.
There you go.
Definitely.
So remember that before you drift off to sleep tonight. Well, good. That is very inspiring, and I'm inspired.
Yeah.
Okay, there's
Very
hope.
good.
You've lit the inspire in me.
Excellent. Fired up.
Well, thanks, Jodie and Jeremiah and Carly. Well, I thought you'd fallen asleep back
Love you,
there.
Paw TV.
And Alek for being here.
Oh, thank you.
Anil for
Running.
us being here. Sorry about all the plaid. We'll
Never apologize for the plaid.
It's
We'll
a
have
Canadian, so this
discussions
makes us
ahead
qualify
of
for
time.
Canadian standards of television.
Yeah.
Like, we get CRTC funding or something, or what is that?
So yeah, tune in next week when God knows what will happen. So
Yeah.
we'll see you then. I'm Marijuana Man. Peace
Peace.
and pot.
And I'm Alec.